Welcome to Infinity Capital, everyone. This is Raj. So today we are going to talk about India Pesticides Limited. This is a fresh IPO which got listed, a couple of weeks back, probably 2 weeks ago. So India Pesticide is an agrochemical company, of technicals and formulations. So let's simplify this. Technicals are basically chemicals which are used to make agrochemicals like fungicides, herbicides, and so on and so forth. Insecticides, herbicides, insecticides, fungicide formulations. So technicals are the raw material for these end products: herbicide, insecticide, fungicide, right? And formulations is basically the end product that they make. So if a farmer uses a spray or any form of other chemical, that is the end product. So that is a branded product, right? So it is primarily into technical and growing formulations business. So their primary income comes from technicals, right? Now they are the sole manufacturer of 5 technicals, right? So these are the technicals that they make: Captan, Folpit, Thiocarbamate, and so on and so forth. So they are the leading manufacturers globally. So they have some sort of market share globally in these, technicals, right? Also, they have diversified into manufacturing herbicide and fungicide technicals. So basically, herbicide and fungicides, they sell it, with a brand name. They also have an active pharmaceutical ingredients business wherein they make APIs for, medicines, formulations. So the company was formed in 1984. It's a pretty old company, right? All this information has been taken from the DRHP, guys, right? So all of this data is available on DRHP. So I've taken snippets from there to discuss this. So they have a focus on R&D as well. So they have R&D facilities wherein they do research and development of new technicals, new formulations. So for any agrochemical company or for any chemical pharma company to move ahead in its business, they need to, come up with new products which are better products. The yield is better, the quality of the product is better. For that, you need R&D capabilities. So, it is imperative that most of these companies have these R&D capabilities, right? Apart from that, so it's a primarily export oriented company. So if you see, 57% of their revenue came from exports, right? And these are the companies, these are the countries: Australia, countries in North and South America, Europe, Asia, Africa. So these are the countries that they are selling their products to. So formulations are primarily sold domestically through extensive network of dealers. So for their formulations business is basically the herbicides and fungicides that they are making, and they sell it in under their own brand name. But what you have to understand, guys, once it's not as easy to sell products under a brand name, because you will need a whole network of distributors, retailers, supply chain, in order to, plus you will have to market your product. So it's not an easy business to get into. It is a B2B business, is rather simple. You send the product in bulk, and if you have good margins, you can make good money. So who are they catering to? Syngenta, UPL, Essenza, Sharda Cropchem, Stotras. So these are the companies, these are the customers for India Pesticides Limited. So what else? They manufacture generic technicals that are used in the manufacturing of herbicides, fungicides, as well as API with applications in dermatological products, right? So Folpit is used to manufacture fungicides that controls fungal growth in vineyards, cereals, crops, biocides in paints and all. So another technical they make is cymoxanil. It is used to manufacture fungicides that control, mildews of grapes, potatoes, vegetables, so on and so forth. Then thiocarbamate, it has application in field crops, wheat, rice, so on and so forth, right? and the API has anti-scabies and antifungal application. So plants have lot of problems, you know, they have worm problems, they have sort of, you know, weather related issues. So they are, you know, a lot of these herbicides and fungicides are used in crops. So in the formulations business, they have both herbicides, growth regulators. These are the formulations that they make. So they manufacture over 30 formulations, and you know, so these are the brand names: Takatwar, IPL, Ziram, and so on and so forth. Okay, right. So they have two manufacturing facilities, and for the manufacturing facilities for technical, the capacity is 19,500 metric ton, and the formulations business is 6,500 metric ton. So you can clearly see over here, guys, that the formulations business is roughly half or less than half of the total capacity, which means, you know, they primarily, most of their income comes from the technicals business. This is the shareholding pattern pre-issue. So the pre-issue shareholding, promoters held 83%, public and employee held 17.3%. Post issue, they will be holding around 59-60%, and public will hold around 40%. But we'll go to the, so I'll quickly just show you the current shareholding pattern. So this I got to this page through the company website itself, right? So if you notice here, this is the promoter and promoter group current holding. So they hold around 66%, and public holds around 33.83%. Now if we go further down, let's check who are the just a moment, guys. So we're going to see who are the public shareholders, because that is what is important. So see, there are mutual funds, they have around 3.76%. Nippon Life India has around 1.17%. SBI Magnum, you know, alternate investment funds, right? Foreign portfolio investors, financial institutions and banks. So they hold around 8%. Then so the total shares to be traded actively by public is only around 21%. So individuals who hold shares up to 2 lakhs is 11%. Individuals who hold shares more than 2 lakh is 10%. So 10 and 11, 21% is the only amount of shares that are going to be actively traded. Mutual funds and FPIs don't trade so actively. If they buy something, they're going to hold on to it, right? And see, if we see over here, around 3 and 2, 5 and 2, 7, 8% of the stock is it is held by, you know, individual investors, right? So this is the shareholding pattern, right? Now the company, it's a pure offer for sale, you know, so the proceeds will be received by the selling shareholders. Whoever are the shareholders who are selling their stake, they will be getting that money, and the company will be using 80 crore rupees, you know, as working capital requirements. Right, moving on to the next slide. So what is the global agrochemical market like? Because it's a agrochemical company, so the global agrochemical market is growing at the rate of 16%, right? Okay, so the total valuation of the global agrochemical market is 62 billion, expected to reach around 86 billion by the end of 2024. So this is the value chain of the agrochemical markets. So there are raw material suppliers, right? Then they give it to the guys who manufacture the herbicides, fungicide, insecticides. So Aztec Life Sciences is one of the players. PI Industries is one of the players. So they make these sort of products. Formulator is the guy who basically dilutes the ingredients in order to suit the end user requirements, right? And there are distributors and end users. Just a second, guys. Yeah. So active ingredients are also known as technical materials. So basically what IPL makes are these technical materials. So if you look over here, major active ingredients. So these are the technical materials that, not all of these, but some of these are the technicals that, you know, IPL produces. What are the applications? So they are used in cotton or rice farming, fruits or vegetables, rice and wheat, rice and maize. Biopesticides is a next and upcoming industry. You know, it is picking up pretty well because farmers are using a lot of synthetic urea and all of these chemicals, which is basically destroying the soil quality. So biopesticides is going to be the next big thing, right? So what is the herbicides market has been growing at 4.2%. Fungicides market was growing at 5.9%. So these are the projection between 2019 and 24. These are the projections, you know. So the highest biopesticides, as I told you, is been noticing the highest growth, right? Highest growth between 2014 and 19, and the subsequent growth is also going to be higher. Okay, so India is ranked 4th globally in production of agrochemicals, right? So this is the Indian market. So the Indian market valued at 2.1 billion, expected to grow at 4% and reach 2.6 billion by 2024. So this is the Indian agrochemical market research. All this information is from the DRHP guys. So you can go and read the whole DRHP and find this out. So the Indian crop protection chemical value chain. So what is the value chain in the Indian agrochemical business? There will be a raw material supplier, just like IPL. They will sell it to UPL. UPL will make branded, you know, all sort of branded herbicide, fungicides. UPL will give it to the trader and distributor, and then they will give it to the formulator. So this is the value chain. Okay, the Indian crop protection chemicals market. So this is the market. What is the growth rate? So what is the value in billion? So the active ingredients, the technicals market was worth 1.4 billion. It reached 1.7 billion, expected to reach 2.6 billion. And the formulations market, which has the larger market share, if you see, it has the larger market share, a little higher, was at 1.8 billion, expected to reach 3.1 billion by 2024. So decent growth trajectory here, right? Now we are going to look at the P&L. So most striking thing about this company is its profit margin. You know, so their profit margins are upwards of 25, 28%. And if they are able to maintain these profit margins, you know, we can expect you know, good profits from this company going forward. As we have also seen last year, a lot of agrochemical companies have rallied, like Aztec Life Sciences, PI Industries, Coromandel. All of these agrochemical companies, Sudarshan Crop Chem, right? So most of these agrochemical companies have rallied and they've made good money for investors. So my calculated bet is that this company should also make good money going forward, right? So this was the whole analysis, guys. On the technical front, there's not much to do actually. I mean, the stock only got listed on 5th of July. So basically it you know, it got listed and then it went down, but right now it is going sideways. So I am looking to accumulate the stock. I'm looking to accumulate the stock within this range. Even if it falls below this range, I'll be still buying more. So the issue price was between 290 and 300. So, you know, if there is a correction in the market and because of that this goes to 290, 300, that will be a great price to buy. Another thing what we need to keep in mind is that you know, there's only around 21% of the stock is only out to be traded, you know, with public. So and we saw that there is good amount of institutional interest in this company. So if you see SBI, Magnum Fund, venture capital funds, these are the, you know, foreign FPIs have around good interest in this company. They have good stake in the company. So my guess is that, you know, that this stock should do well in the next 2 to 3 quarters. So this is a buy on dip for me. If it dips further, I'm going to add more. So this was the analysis, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Quick disclaimer, this is not a buy sell recommendation. This video is for educational purposes only. Thanks a lot, guys.